Hello, everybody. My name is Akinola. Welcome back to another episode of Under the Hood. This is episode 3, and we're talking with Tomas, who, well, I've never met before until just a couple days ago, and we went through a bunch of things to try and make sure that we were able to meet today. It's very late for him, so I want to thank him for, joining me before he goes to bed. It's still the middle of the day over on the East Coast in America. But Tomas, why don't you tell me what's going on with you? How's your day going? And we'll just jump right in.
Oh, how is my day going? It's pretty much over, basically. It's done, but it's pretty good. Long day, European office, pretty a lot of work as usual. But yeah, pretty good day.
Great. Why don't you tell us what you do for Rogue, and we'll dive deeper into how that affects your day-to-day, your interactions with the players, staff, and all that stuff.
So, what I do for Rogue, so my official position is general manager for Europe. Specifically based right now around the League of Legends teams. We're talking about the LEC lineup. We're talking about the Ultra Liga lineup with Aga Rogue. My job is it's pretty wide, and when you say general manager, you have a certain operational feel to it. Usually, when you talk about normal business, but in our situation, general manager for me means I'm responsible for who plays on the team, how is the team performing, how are the players feeling, what is happening day to day with them, what's their schedule, are they getting fed? Well, with our cooks they are, but are they basically everything that is around them. I was on a panel for a Dubai convention, I think 2 weeks ago or something, and one of the people on the panel said it pretty good. It's a glorified babysitter for basically the players and everyone that is in the office. It's not exactly like that anymore. It used to be. It used to be you're exactly a glorified babysitter because you're babysitting five celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
But the last 2 years it has gotten a lot more professional, a lot more structured, and now it's actually business and everything else also included.
Great. How did you find yourself put into the GM role? Like, what were you doing before getting involved with Rogue, and how has that changed your career in esports?
So how I got in Rogue was after 5 years being with Rocket in the ULCS back then, before LEC was the thing. At the end of Rocket, it was kind of known that they're not going to be applying, that they're not going to be participating, not applying, but they're not going to be participating in the LEC. So I worked with a couple of different organizations, spoke with a couple of different organizations, and Rogue ownership impressed me quite a bit. And it made my choice to dedicate myself and the application together with them to make sure that they get into the franchise. It wasn't me. Basically, Rogue got into the franchise, and then they interviewed me. They got me in. We actually worked together on getting into the franchise. And at a certain point, I just brought in Anna to work with us, which she ended up being the managing director here for Europe, a partnership I'm quite happy with. Oh, need to sneeze.
You're fine. I was like, oh no, what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah. Tried to sneeze, but since it's dark, didn't go out. But yeah, that's how I ended up with Rogue. And once we got accepted into the franchise, it was easy choice. Hey, like we got in together. I'm just gonna stay, and we're gonna continue together.
Great.
It's a lot of good people over here, so yeah.
Yeah, I was able to speak with Anna last week, and she gave me a little bit of the insight. The more that I'm here, I've been happy to work with you guys. The more I'm learning, despite the fact that I'm thousands of miles away, a lot goes on behind the scenes to make sure that the ship is run really well. And I think you guys are doing a really good job. What are some of the misconceptions that people, might assume about a general manager? You refer to it as, glorified babysitter position, but obviously there's a lot more to it than that. Could you walk us through, without divulging too many details about what's going on, what your day is like? Because, you're still up. A lot of people might be in bed by now. So walk us through a normal day in the life of Tomas.
The thing with a normal day in the life of Thomas, there is no such thing as same day as the previous one. Every single day, you have a general schedule of what's going on and how it's gonna be, but every single day is pretty unique of what you're dealing with. Because big part of my job is to work with a lot of different people that are here on the ground in Berlin. And it is about tailoring to their needs, basically. One day would be, hey, the cook is sick, someone else needs to replace the cook for the day. Or the second day is Inspired needs to go get glasses, so I need to get Alex to get him an appointment to go grab glasses for him. Or next day is Thomas is talking with investors. The third day, I'm talking to a sponsor or working with Kia for the activations for all the videos that you've seen for the operations. When is the car gonna come, and all those things. So it's really tailored towards what is needed on the specific day, rather than having a strict, okay, that's how my day looks like. What you need for that is basically need to be really adaptive, because it's not only okay. One step backwards. It's not only about day to day, but it's also organization to organization. In our organization, I do those things, but in another team here in Europe, general manager would basically mean you're on the ground and you're doing the manager position. You're taking care of like one step lower, where you're taking care of the small things, getting health insurance for the players, helping him to go to the doctor, and all that kind of stuff. In our situation, we have the lovely Alex that helps me quite a bit with those smaller topics and everything. So I could focus on more operational side and leading the staff in a direction that needs to be led.
Wonderful. How difficult would you say has your job been with the evolution of esports? I know things were a lot messy back in the EU LCS days when esports was still getting kind of figured out. And, with player contracts and all that type of things, a lot of things could go wrong. Do you think that esports is going in a good direction? Do you think things are a bit more solid than they were 5-6 years ago?
Well, I can go even a little bit further. Like you probably know organizations like Absolute Legends and those back in the days. I started there. Basically, I started in 2009 with League of Legends, with working for On3D, which was back there the Twitch, before Twitch even became and everything. And those first couple of years back then, it was, even though it was getting serious and you were getting excited, hey, esports is here to stay. I'm actually getting paid. I'm getting a salary from doing what I love, basically. But back then it was so much less pressure than what it is right now. You would go to the events, you lose the event, oh fuck, I need to change one player, but hey, the next event is coming. While right now you have that whole year that is basically lost if you don't go to Worlds.
Right.
Every year you're putting the pressure on yourself that, hey, I need to work on a lineup, I need to build a lineup that gets to Worlds. And that starts from me, but also to coaches, players, and everyone else. The pressure that has become and the stress that you have from back then to now, it's day and night. It's not even comparable. Right now we have that nonstop in the back of your head, especially that's for players, because the career of a lot of the players is shorter, simply because you don't have the as much time or bench to rotate people as you do in football or basketball. Over here, rotation of players and doing 6, 7, 8 man rosters or lineups to rotate players between matches, that slows your development a lot more and pushes you steps backwards. So you have the 5 players, and if he's not performing, you're not gonna bench him and then return him again. That player gets benched, and probably he's never gonna return on the same lineup. It's really rare that it happens that if a player has been benched because he's weaker, he goes back up. And since the scene right now is quite judgmental, I'll give an example with Woolite, for example, for us one. Last year, even though we placed top 4, and Woolite was one of the better AD carries and proved himself good last year, none of the bottom organizations that was looking to just improve a little bit or something went with him, even though he would have been a secure middle of the table AD carry. Everyone decided that they're going to take a risk with someone younger, even though it's a lot bigger risk. It's a possible higher reward and everything. And people don't view it, hey, he was not good enough for that team, but that means it's not good enough for me too, you know?
Yeah.
Even though we're talking about 4th place versus 10th place team, for example. So the careers are a lot shorter and there's a lot more on the table right now that you need to think of compared to what you had back in the days. The positives is right now we're actually professional. We're a lot more closer to what sports is. Real sports, we have a lot more structure. Back then, it was like you're gonna do the scrims, you're gonna review the scrims, and hey, that's the day. Like you're gonna go, you're gonna do those scrims, and that's it. Right now, you come 2 hours earlier before scrims. You have a specific meal plan. You're gonna have a team meeting with the coaches and everything, plan the whole day ahead. Then you're gonna have the scrims. You're gonna do the normal thing that you discuss and improve. Then you're gonna have a follow-up meeting. Hey, this is how the day went. Those picks went good. Those picks didn't. Then you're gonna have 2 of the days of the week. You're gonna have physical exercise. The next day you're gonna have team building events. The next one we have a board game competition in the office between the players and all those things. It's a lot more focused on every single little detail. So back then you would go and play the game basically, and you would rely. It was a lot more individual reliant. The game compared to now where every single little detail matters, and it's a lot more macro orientated, the game, so you have a lot more things to learn, and every single stress factor, if you're not focused, if you didn't sleep well, didn't eat enough, or ate too much sugar too early before the game, all those things actually matter a lot more now.
That's ridiculous. I had no idea it was that in depth as the time went on. You know, I'm used to watching NA esports, you know, the LCS, and I've actually been watching a lot more LEC, whether it's the production value and the talent of the players. I didn't realize how much this I was missing out on because NA doesn't seem to care as much about competition as Europe does, and you can see it in the games. You can see it in the players' emotions. You can see it in the macro, these plays that are happening. You know, what is it like to be on the ground as these players try and figure out, you know, what champions are going to play from week to week, from game to game? You know, how serious are they about this?
So you mentioned it with the Americans and the LCS and everything is one thing that I really like saying about that is when you want to be a competitor, how much you want it, basically. It's one thing saying I really want to win, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna do it. It's completely other thing to actually sacrifice and put not 100% of yourself, but 120. And that's what a lot of the people don't realize with players, which is there's 2 sides. One is if you want to be competitor, you have to do it, and that's what's happening a lot in Europe. Is it sucks for quite a while, but you don't have personal life. You're a competitor. You're nonstop 24/7 thinking. You have the off season 1-2 months, and that's your personal life for the year. Basically, it's really hard to balance a girlfriend playing relationship, for example, or going out, having a party, visiting friends, and everything else. If you do all those things, basically, you have someone else on the opposite side of the game that doesn't do those things and puts the extra 2-3 hours a day, and he's gonna beat you eventually.
Yeah.
Because it's that good quote about hard work versus talent. It's both. Talent without hard work will never beat a little bit less talent with a lot of hard work. It's as simple as that. So of course there's exceptions, but in every single thing there are exceptions. But that's what is happening. And since you compare to America and the NALCS, the problem over there seems to be that everyone says how much they want to win, but no one is actually putting the extra effort, and no one is actually sacrificing, knowing what is a sacrifice to actually achieve. And you had certain players, certain teams that have done it over there over the times. Like, I'm never gonna say double if never sacrificed anything, and etc. But there is a lot. The problem is a big majority of the players over there are not as dedicated. And the other thing is, European players in the last 2-3 years have become less and less and less defensive about their own mistakes. They admit them. They non-stop are judgmental of themselves, and they work with everyone else on improving the team. It's not about the individual mistake. It's how we improve everything, basically.
Yeah.
While from what I've heard and talked to American teams over there, it's a lot about, hey, don't tell me what I did wrong. Tell me how we are gonna get better. Basically, so it's a lot more defensive approach, which makes coaches and other players in your team give you proper feedback to actually improve.
With that attitude in mind, I mean, you could definitely see it in the work hours that these boys spend scrimming and doing all these activities to try and do their best. And it's showing in week to week. You know, they are a competitor this split, and I hope that they go to Worlds. It's very likely that they're going to be a Worlds level team, at least, you know, make it out of playoffs and truly represent EU. Do you feel, with your broad look on, you know, the NA League and the EU League, do you feel like NA is falling behind? Can they catch up to the talent of EU overall?
It's at this point, it's not a feeling, it's a fact that they're quite behind. To be fair, they have one single team, and that team is mostly built around European mentality and culture about competing. You have Niski over there, who has been one of the hardest working people to push that competition from their side. So you have Sven, who's exactly the same thing. So is there a possibility for NA to compete? Yes, I think Cloud9 is good. Is anyone else going to compete on the same level that the top European teams going into Worlds are going to be? I don't think so. Not at this point, not at the way that it's looking. Obviously, in a best of one settings, everyone can win a game here and there, but right now, when we call someone good, and why casters haven't been calling us good yet, and have been pretty criticizing about us considering our previous split, to call yourself good right now, you need to be consistently good. We have in Europe 6-7 teams right now that are good, but only some of them are really good because they're consistent.
Right. Yeah, you know, Mad Lions being one of those teams, you know, we fell to them.
Well, Mad Lions have now gotten consistent quite a bit. It's more about when you have teams like Misfits, SK, us last split. I'm sorry.
Don't know. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Need to grab water. But yeah, like when you have teams like Misfits, SK. Those are the teams that are good. And as we've seen, like SK just beat G2 and everything, but match after that they lost to Excel, which shouldn't happen if you're a really good team. And it's about getting consistency right now. And it's the same thing for us. It's if we want to be one of the good teams, if we want to be a good representative of Europe at Worlds, we need to get consistent. We need to start getting consistently challenging the top three teams.
Compared to the team's performance from last split, obviously last split wasn't the best split, but already a couple weeks in, they're showing that, hey, this is a completely different mindset and team that Rogue has had going into summer. What do you think Rogue has to do to make sure that they're a Worlds level team? Like, what had to change from from the spring split to the summer split?
So there's a couple of different things to take in consideration over here. The first thing is spring split is the split that we just got Steven. We just started working with him. We started being a lot more flexible as a team. So for us, spring split, the inconsistencies. So first of all, I think we were as good as we are right now. Right now we're a little bit better. Yes, we are getting more consistent, but there's two things. So until online play, we were towards this position right now. We had won every single game that wasn't G2 Fnatic Origin, to the point that online hit. Like we've had lost one single Mad Lions game. That was we threw a lead of 6,000-7,000, and they had Soraka. And that week we didn't have good time against Soraka, G2 and that game. So that's the first thing. Is a lot of people don't remember that before online play, we were something similar to what we are right now. We just weren't, like, people expected way more from us. And the second thing that is a consideration over there is spring split. We wanted to test a lot of different styles and see what we can play aside from our main stuff that we're super comfortable on. So you've seen a lot of games that we picked weird stuff. You've seen a forced 1-3-1s when we didn't have to, won some of those, lost some of those, and all that kind of stuff. Like spring split was a testing ground of us getting adjusted and getting more versatile than having one or two styles like other teams in the league. And that had to happen, and spring split was the time to do so. We still believe, even if we faced Mad Lions back then, that we would have won versus them. But for some reason, we felt really uncomfortable versus Origin in playoffs at certain time. So we just lost the moment that we started losing the series.
Well, like I said, you guys have been putting on a good show, and I think the future is bright for Rogue overall. But to kind of dial the competitiveness back a bit, with all of this work that has to be done by you and the staff, interacting with the players, the day-to-day, I'm curious as to how you guys spend time off. You don't get a lot of time off, but when it's time
time off?
Yeah, what is well,
do you eat that?
Oh man, all right. Well, all right. So in the rare cases that you have kind of like a cool down, a winding down, how do you and the team, like, how do you guys relax? Like, how do you guys take your mind off the game?
Every person has his own ways. To be honest, in the team, the ones that I can say for myself, for example, is I like to stay alone, be quiet around me, watch a lot of TV shows and movies. I'm a movie buff, as you can say, as you can see over here. And play video games. Especially with Valorant now being out.
Absolutely.
It's pretty good one. I have started streaming a little bit from time to time just to test and see how comfortable I feel. being watched nonstop. It's like I haven't been until now. But yeah, so it's a lot of different things, but it's mostly just peace and quiet. Just get quiet, watch a TV show, play games, talk maybe with some friends from home, play games with them, and that's pretty much it. Like, especially with COVID right now, it's we used to go different cinema for movies
Yeah.
together. Different activities outside. We would play football versus other teams or between each other, and everything. But right now everything is closed, so
Yeah.
it's hard to actually do that. We're not the US where everything is open.
Oh, trust me, we're paying
So
for it.
so yep. So yeah, like right now it's mostly playing more video games, just different ones, watching TV shows and movies, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. When you found yourself in this general manager situation, this position to really guide the team in the best direction possible, you look back at all the years you've spent in esports. Do you ever think to yourself, man, how did I get started with this, and what could I change to make sure that, we all make mistakes sometimes, we slip up, things don't go as smoothly as possible. Do you ever look back and think, man, I should have done this better, or I should have done this?
Oh, of course. There's a lot of moments that I could have done better, could have requested stuff or made my contract better,
Mm.
or with different teams could have reacted better and everything else. But I've reached a certain point in life and in my career right now that is, I've realized that I've done mistakes and I'll continue doing different mistakes, being small or big on daily basis. We do so many things that there's no way that you don't offend someone or say something wrong or forget about sending a letter or something like this. It's about learning from it, gathering the experience, and continuing forward. It's not about what went wrong.
Mm.
It's about how do we do everything better for the next one. It's basically how do we get better rather than why did we do that bad. Basically, that's something that I keep repeating to myself and everyone around me, and that's how I like to work, basically.
That's awesome. I clearly there's a lot that I didn't know about the position, and I feel like I'm in a better place to better understand how important your role is to the overall moving forward path of Rogue. If you were to talk to somebody, I imagine I'm aspiring to get in esports. You tell me about your position, and I'm like, well, how does somebody get started being a general manager? Like, maybe their goal is to be that type of position in the near future. What advice would you give to someone just getting started in esports who sees someone like you interacting with the team, and they want to do what you want to do? What advice can you give them?
It's actually pretty funny that we're doing the podcast this week exactly, um, because we have those every week. We have this big general manager meeting from all the teams and everything, that we update each other of what's going on with our teams and what we're working on and so on, so everyone is informed. And we just got a new general manager for the US. And that general manager in the US, they joke that when Rogue opened, he started as an intern for the company for the first 6 months or something of the sort. He was an intern just helping the general manager, the managers over there wanting to learn. And now a couple of years later, he's the general manager for the US.
There you go.
Basically. So it is not how you start, but how you work after you start in an organization. How you start right now, we're a professional industry at this point to a certain degree, and you just apply and you get a position. And don't be afraid to start low. The point is when there's 2-3 things to think about when you do when you start working for an organization if you want to grow up and get more. One thing is listen, listen, and listen. Don't Yes, you might have good ideas, but don't be over pushy for those ideas. You just sort of set it over there, earn the trust of everyone around you. Show everyone around you that you can listen and follow orders. Not orders, but follow direction. That is. And with the time, you're going to start getting to give more and more input and everything. The second thing is be really patient when you join a company. Is not everything, even if you think at certain points you're better than the people above you or you have better ideas, be really patient. Don't over rush things. You need to, coming back to the previous point, you need to earn the trust, and that's not going to happen in 2, 4, 6 months. It's going to take a year, 2 years, sometimes even more. Third thing is be loyal. Uh, people need to to know that they can rely on you in every situation. Something that is specifically important for me and the people that work around me, there is no work that is shameful. No matter, like, I'm 1 minute I'm going to be talking with investors and celebrities or arranging Kia and bringing the Kia car and doing a video shoot with Kia and everything. The next moment, there's gonna be a light bulb broken. Alex is gonna be sick that day. I'm gonna go and change that light bulb, or I'm gonna go downstairs and I'm gonna carry all the boxes that come upstairs. There is no point unless you're in the ownership circle that there is a work that is shameful for you. You need to be open to do that, and you need to be open to help everyone around you. When you see that, for example, all the food for the cooks arrived downstairs, the delivery for the week, and there's like 20 boxes and they left them up downstairs, don't be the person that just walks by them and have fun gathering the boxes. Help the people around you. And the simple things like coming into the office in the morning and passing by everyone and saying, hey, good morning, hi, how are you today? All those things make a massive impression to people. And the last thing is just accept the people around you. Just accept that every single one, being in esports, and that's not only about esports, it's about everything. Every single person is flawed, and they have their pluses that they give to the company, and they have their minuses that they work over time. So accept that and let people be their people and learn from their mistakes. Don't judge them on every single little thing, basically. So it's all about attitude and trust, with other words.
That's great. I mean, that's advice that, like you said, is not just applicable in esports, but pretty much any industry that you're trying to work your way up in. You know, work hard, make sure that, you know, you show that you have value. You're not above any work. And those are definitely principles that I've adapted and hope to continue to adapt as I make my way, you know, throughout this esports landscape. Because I feel like in the last few years, like every year something drastically changes where the previous year doesn't even seem real. You know, esports is building so fast and all of these companies are trying to get into it, trying to cash in without putting in the work, for lack of a better phrase. And, you know, you see it with these different esports trying to be like League of Legends. You know, everyone wants the stability of League of Legends. You know, League of Legends wasn't the first esport, but it was the first esport where I saw that, hey, this is legitimate. You know, esports is here to stay. This isn't some passing fad, you know. And the
League of... Yeah.
No, go ahead.
League of Legends is... League of Legends turned esports from hype for gamers to hype for everyone. It put esports everyone can argue that maybe the real mainstream was Fortnite like a year ago or 2 years ago, etc. But what made esports be professional and be esports and be taken serious by investors, sponsors, companies is League of Legends. Before League of Legends, we were going to with computers. We were going to LANs, carrying our computers and monitors in the back of the cars.
Yeah.
And everything else. We had the small events and everything else. League of Legends, like, I don't know if you remember, but now it's funny, but we had Twitch TV on 3D was exactly on the middle of everything back then. They just launched and so on, and we were happy if we get 10 to 15,000 viewers at a stream for a final. We were like, woo, we're making it. It's happening, you know. And then League of Legends DreamHack Worlds Season 1 happens, and you gather 250,000 people, and we're like, boys, it's exploding. What is going on? How are we getting so much interest in esports? Like, are we getting actually serious? And then now 250, that's a regular match of the season, you know?
It's like not enough. The bar keeps moving every single year. And
that has been League of Legends. And yes, it's maybe the combination of League of Legends and streaming services exploding at the same time, and that's how League of Legends actually got in the eyes of everyone a lot faster. But League of Legends is the game that made esports into a professional sport. A one that we can compare to a professional sport right now.
Absolutely. And it's the reason that, you know, we're both able to do what we do every day. And, you know, as much as I hate playing League of Legends sometimes, it's given me so much, and I'm really thankful to be able to just be here and talk to people like you and learn parts about the industry that me or people listening and watching have really no idea about. Your job is a lot more than most people might anticipate. So we're really thankful that you're here at Rogue doing your thing, making sure that everybody involved is doing good things. And, you know, thank you so much for taking the time out of your night. I know you could just be chilling, playing video games right now or going to sleep, but
I was.
But you stayed up, and I really do appreciate you being on the show. And hopefully I will find a way to get out to Europe and, you know, meet everybody in real life. But for now, I'm just going to have to live through you guys.
I have a better idea. We just qualify for Worlds in China.
Oh,
and you're our guy over there,
I guess,
for videos and everything.
I guess we'll just have to.
That's gonna be the ultimate,
I mean, that'd be a real shame if I had to pack up and go to China for a few months. But you know, we'll see what happens. You know, hopefully Rogue can do the thing, and I'm praying and wishing. I mean, they've reignited this spark in competitive league that I haven't had in a long time, since like the old days of TSM and NA esports, basically, where I thought that, hey, these guys are cooler. I used to have that mentality of, oh, we don't need the rest of the world. Sure, NA is not great. It'd be like American football, where we're going to say we're going to crown a world champion, but you're only having people in America play. And then I watched other competition. I watched Korea. I watched Europe, where these people care more about the game. You can just see it in their play. You can see it in their tweets. They live, breathe, and die by this game, and you see it. And it's just a world of difference. It's turned me on to a completely new avenue of league. So now I'm an LEC fan, and I can't wait to see where Rogue and the other teams go. Hopefully Rogue takes it all at Worlds, but we'll just have to see what happens.
It's time to beat TSM actually at Worlds. Not only talk about how better we are than them.
Yep. I think it's going to happen. I don't think TSM is they've lost their spark. And I was a fan, but
right now they're quite fine. Like, I don't watch as much NALCS as I used to. Mm-hmm. Just the competition is like, you don't learn much from over there right now. So we don't watch it as much as it used to be. But hey, TSM are second place right now.
That's true.
It's a completely different question that it's 6 teams. Is it 6 teams? No, 5 teams are tied for second place. But that's only details.
Yeah, and you know, this weekend that could change. We have no idea how things are going to go.
Yep.
So
I would honestly love TSM to make it to Worlds, so we can actually have the hype match between Rogue and TSM.
Yes.
So we can actually have a. It's not only in theory. Is it Rogue? Is it TSM? But we can actually have the match.
The match of the century. That would be huge.
And yeah, yep.
Be huge.
That's gonna have quite some viewership. It's gonna be interesting to see.
My fingers are crossed. Thomas, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. If you want to follow Thomas, his Twitter is at FLYY90, flyy90. You can follow him on Twitter. If you want to listen to the show and subscribe, make sure we're on Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss this or any of the other Rogue content that we've got going on. A new episode of Rogues is going to come out next week. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to go Rogue. Thanks for watching Under the Hood.